All right, everyone. So this is going to be another episode of us going into Google and seeing what is currently ranking for certain keywords. Has the search results page changed at all? Is Google doing anything new or different? We're also going to look at some Google business profiles. We're also going to look at some websites. We're going to see, okay, what are they currently doing to their profiles? Is there anything that we can learn, anything that we can take away? Has Google updated anything on the profiles? Are there new fields? Is there new information that they can place on the profile? Then we're also going to go through their websites, right, in the search results. What we're going to do is we're going to see, okay, what's their site structure like? What is currently going on? What do I think that they're doing well? What do I think that we can take away from their site and maybe rather test it or even consider applying it to my own sites, or you can consider applying it to your sites. Maybe you see something you haven't seen before and it sparks a new idea, and then you go and apply that to your site. And so the whole point of this is to really just get really good field data. And what I mean by that is just seeing what's currently going on, you know? If you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the chat. If you have a website or a Google business profile you would like me to look over live, drop the URL or share your Google business profile URL and I'll take a look. So now is the hard part. What keyword do I want to type in? And let's do some field data research on. Let me make sure my chat's working. Okay. Let's do real estate agent. Real estate agent Miami. Miami's pretty hot right now, and especially in terms of real estate and what have you. And this is also something we haven't searched before. So it's going to give me definitely a different perspective of what's currently occurring. Okay, so we typed in real estate agent Miami. So I'm already seeing, maybe we should do realtor instead. Realtor Miami, Florida. Realtor.com. Wow, that is a great domain name. That is an exact match domain name. They are probably printing cash. Literally just gold bricks falling out of the sky. Okay. So we search for Realtor Miami, and what we're doing is we're looking at the search results. The first one is an exact match domain, which is great because just having the keyword in the name of your domain name or having the keyword in your Google business profile is a huge ranking factor, and you should always consider getting rather the exact match domain or a keyword in your name. So I just want to look and see what are they doing SEO wise. So what it looks like right here is they have Miami, Florida homes for sale and real estate. So looking at this is probably like placeholders or short keys. And what I mean by that is, so this style right here is probably applied to all of their pages, but they have specific directories or specific folders or categories, right, that will pull in the place and fill in the placeholders. So if I were to go to Austin, Texas, it would just be Austin, Texas, homes for sale and real estate. So it says who they're brokered by. Okay. And again, we're just seeing what are they doing SEO wise. So I just see a whole bunch of photos. I don't really see a ton of text. We've got addresses, we've got beds, baths, square feet. We've got a ton of photos, right? Real estate, very visual. Oh, I didn't mean to click that. Okay. So what I'm curious is they've got only 1,400 words on page. They have 2 title tags and 2 meta descriptions. I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of this real quick just because a lot of the times you hear this advice touted that you can only have a certain amount of characters in your title tag, or you can only have a certain amount of characters in your meta description. But this site right here has 2 title tags and 2 meta descriptions, which is interesting for me. Okay, so are they doing anything with their images? So the majority of the images have empty alt text. So what I'm assuming is that there's a client portal. In the client portal, you have fields, like if you're a realtor, right? You go back there and you fill it out, and what descriptions you place on the images is basically just placed on this page, right? Because a lot of these images are missing alt text. And so it looks like the website is not taking it upon themselves to place alt text on each of these images. They're kind of just letting you, the client or the customer, place all the information, and they are just kind of the software or the placement of those words on page. So a lot of photos, not a lot of text. We already looked. There's only 1,400 words visible on page. What I am interested in is if we do view page source, and if we type realtor, so the keyword is on page 214 times, which is interesting to me. I also want to see, let's do a raw versus rendered. Let's see if they have any JavaScript on this page. I would assume they have a little bit. Okay. Okay. So yeah, there is some JavaScript. Oh yeah, there you go. So a large portion of this is not being seen all the time. What I'd like to see them do is have it static HTML so that it's served every single time the content on page, right? Us, when we go and visit the page, we will see all of the content, but we do not see what Google sees, right? When Google comes to visit this page, you're feeding it, when you use JavaScript or these other frameworks, you're feeding it this script. It then has to go and render or run, right? Once it runs that script, it goes through the entire process. Then it gets an understanding of what the content is because it's actually pulling the content now. So I also want to see what are they doing. So if I interact with this, right? Does this create a new URL string? It does create a new URL string. See, I would not do this. What occurs is because you have so many of these different attributes or different settings or different, basically you're changing the filter. What can happen is every time Google will come and crawl these individual links. So what do I mean by that? Google will come and crawl this page. It will see, okay, there's a whole bunch of links right here, right? We can just see these little icons. it will see, okay, so there's a studio link. It will crawl the studio link, right? And then it will see this new URL string. If you see up here in the top. So what this can do is, if you have a ton of these, this can bloat up the amount of URLs you have on your site by hundreds, thousands, even millions, right? Because what we also have to consider is this right here is just for Miami. This is just for that city, Miami, Florida. And the different combinations here, like if I were to go back and forth and click everything and get all the different combinations, and each time it builds a new URL string, just on this page alone, this page could create hundreds of different URL strings. Now, when you add that on top of having an additional 100 other pages, right? Because it's a realtor website, so they're going to serve other cities, other states. This could balloon up to a couple 100,000 links. This could get to an insane amount of URLs being created, even though in reality, as an example, you actually only have 100 pages. So this is of concern. I wonder how they're handling those new URL strings being created. The other thing that may be occurring is that they're already so large that it doesn't have a material effect on them, right? Google doesn't really care too much, and so it'll still give them the rankings, right? So that's this. Let's go look at some other sites and search. Okay, so we're searching for realtor, Miami, Florida. So we can see the keyword in the name. They've got the city in the name. I highly advise people not to put the city you currently serve in the Google Business Profile name. The reason why is when you go to open a new location or you go to move the business, having the city you were previously in is not going to help you, because it's going to work against you, right? If I moved from Austin, Texas to Fort Worth and I had Austin in my name, it's just not a good look, and it doesn't help your Google Business Profile. Now, if you're only looking to stay in Austin, then it's great. Then when you go to move or open a new location and that you get a brand new name, great. So interesting. We've got this person open 24 hours. I would never expected that to be happening, but people do that all the time. And they're ranking number 1 for my search, at least. They got the video. That's great. Great, nice big photo of the owner or a real estate agent. They got multiple videos. This is awesome. This is great. Having a certain amount of photos on your Google Business Profile does help with the placement of your Google Business Profile, right? What we want to do is add relevant photos like they are, right? We can see the product that they're trying to sell, and we can see more of the people or the members or the owners of this real estate agent or agency. This is awesome. Yeah, they've really done this portion well. I'm curious what their website looks like. if you have any questions on like SEO, your site, or your Google Business Profile, go ahead and drop them in the chat. If you'd like me to look over them live, drop the URL to your Google Business Profile or your website, and I'll look at it. So we're looking over this realtor site. Let's see. So they've got a UTM parameter. Their URL strings non-dub. That's good. That's good. We're gonna do a control F canonical. The canonical is non-dub / trailing /. So what happens if I do this? I'm not redirected. What happens if I do this? Am I redirected? I'm redirected to the non-trailing slash. So their canonical is pointing to a different URL string than what actually is served when you visit the site. I'd recommend for them to go ahead and remove that trailing slash. You're feeding Google a redirect, and you're just not helping yourself. I would also change, this is more of like a CRO thing or like human experience, right? I would change the color of this font. It's really hard to see. Great big photo. Let's see. Do they have any video schema? No video schema. Their same as is pretty light. Their schema in general is pretty light. That's great. So they're linking to their Google Business Profile from the same as schema. Okay. Again, your URLs are all pointing to the version with the trailing slash, but when you visit the site, I'm redirected to the non-trailing slash. So Google is visiting all of these URLs that you are listing and being force fed a redirect. So this is who designed the site. Okay, they got a privacy policy. This is a big trust factor you need to have on your sites as well, is your terms of service, your privacy policy. So let's go look at his social media. Look at the URL, see what's going on. Okay, so that URL structure is good. No link to the site. I would put a link. Oh, is this one? Yep, that's a link to the site. Okay, let's go look at the Instagram. See what they've got going on. Link to the Google Business Profile. That's awesome. Again, you're connecting your Instagram account to that entity, to that Google Business Profile asset, which is great. URL structures all look good. So the YouTube link does not take me to his YouTube, so I'd fix that. This URL is good. The telephone, that works. That works. The address, does this? That takes me to the Google search, which is great. No embedded Google Business Profile. I would have thought they would have had that. Let's see. What about their alt text on their images? A lot of empty alt text. A great opportunity to get your keywords, your LSI terms, your entities on page, just simply in the alt text. It's something that doesn't remove the like customer journey or the customer experience. So it's definitely a great zone or a great spot to get some of those keywords that you're missing on the page and some of your LSI terms, essentially everything. So they've got a press page. I wonder what this is. Press and media. Okay. We're just looking over the site, seeing what is currently going on. Why are they currently ranking? This is smart. I really like that. When I click Let's Connect, I don't want to be taken to another page. I want the form to pop out right here. This is really good. Okay. Featured condos. See what they've got going on. Are we doing anything? No schema on this page. Okay. Still a lot of empty alt text. Not a lot of words, only 1,000 words on page. What I am super interested in is this would have to be rather like I'd have to talk to them or watch the page historically is let's say that they sell a listing, what happens to that page? Do they just stop linking to it or what have you, right? So I'm not really reading what's going on this page. What I'm looking for are any links in the content to other pages. Because what we want to do is we want to have these internal linking structures to where you'll have rather a hub, you'll have a blog, or you'll have like a service or locations page. And in that, you want to be linking to your money page, the page you actually want to be ranking for the keywords you're targeting. You almost want to create a silo structure pointing everything to your money page. So they've got this map, but this doesn't look like a Google Business Profile map. Oh, it's probably the location of the property. Yeah, that makes sense. So they've got these bolded terms, which is great. That's a ranking factor. And they've got listicles, which is great again. Only 710 words. But they're probably not looking to rank this specific page for a keyword or a key term. Actually, when I was taken to that, is that still the same site? Yeah, it's still the same site. So I'm not sure what the purpose of these pages are because this looks like it's all AI generated images. It doesn't look like actual properties. So maybe this is like future development. Okay. So what happens when I go to neighborhoods? Brickell, downtown Miami, Miami Beach. So I really like them having these hubs, right? So you have one page that has links to all of your other pages, basically like in that category. So as in this example, you've got the category of neighborhoods. Find your dream home, home search. Again, let's check the alt text on some of these images. Not much there. What's the word count on this page? Actually, what are they using to build this? Interesting. Okay. So let's go look at their Brickell page. Again, I'm not really reading the page. I'm looking for links. So they have a link to a Google Business Profile, Sexy Fish Miami, Japanese restaurant. Okay. They've also got a link to Gecko. Okay. So they're linking to these Google Business Profiles of like rather things to do, places to visit, which is great because you're adding that geographic relevance, right? You're linking to a Google asset or a Google entity that obviously Google knows about, right? And so talking about that geographic spot on the page and then having links to these geographic areas as well will also help Google get an understanding of, okay, this page is about this specific area. And it will also help with when someone is searching in that area for the keyword you're trying to target. This will help your page appear, because if they're searching a local term and you've properly optimized your geographic relevance, when they go to search for that term and it's a local term, Google knows that this page has all this geographic relevance, right? That's going to help your page appear for their search. So this is what we can also do is we're going to do a site colon command. So you can do this command. It's just site colon and then your URL. I like to do the URL without the HTTPS :// and then nothing after the .com as well, unless you're trying to target a specific folder or directory. And what I'm looking for is, what does Google currently have indexed? What is Google currently serving from this website? A quick way to tell how many pages a website has indexed. This isn't a guarantee, but right here you can see about 7,940 results. So this website is massive. So they've got all of these properties. Man, to have 7,940 URLs indexed, that is insane. I'm very curious. We're going to do, what is it? DR checker. We're going to use Ahrefs free DR checker, because for them to have 7,000 URLs indexed, that is interesting. This doesn't necessarily mean anything. I was just kind of looking at this to see if it would confirm my suspension of this being like a high authority site. But now what it's doing is it's raising the question in my head, does this have so many pages indexed because Google recognizes that it's a real estate website? I would think that real estate websites are going to have more listings. They're going to have more pages on average than any other type of business, like a plumber, an HVAC company, like a flooring contractor, a certified personal accountant. This is interesting. How are they able to have 7,000 pages? Okay, so now this has really piqued my interest. So now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the site colon command. We are just going to search the domain in quotations in Google. What this allows us to do is see what is externally linking to the page. And what I mean by this is, what this allows us to do is we can see what other pages externally have this exact line of text, like this string essentially, right? So what I'm going to try to do is I want to see, so there's their actual YouTube. So let's look at their YouTube. Let's look at these links. Links takes me directly to the site. That's great. So in these,
What happens when you put a...
do we have links to the, yeah. So they don't have the full URL. They just have the .com. Huh. Any comments? No comments. So we've got links to all of the social profiles. He posts a little bit in these shorts. So it looks like they're doing something with shorts way more than they are with the long form videos. How do I see the descriptions? It's always a pain. So no links in their shorts either. Let's go back up here. Again, no links to their site. Okay. When you're going to post on your social profiles, you definitely want to have a link back to your site. Google will go and crawl those social platforms and it will find those links. Then those links linking back to your site help your site. You're also going to want to link to your Google Business profile as well. Okay. This is super interesting to me. Is he more active on TikTok? Let's see. I'm human, I promise. So no links to his site still. So again, we're just looking and seeing. So this one has, does this one have a link? Yeah, there it is. So this one has a link to his website. What we're trying to find out is how does this realtor site have almost 8,000 pages indexed? So what I've done is I've searched the top level domain just in quotes so we can find external links pointing back to the site, or essentially anything with this line of the string of text on the page. So they post a ton of social and they've got a ton of links back. Interesting. And the site is 7 years old. But again, it just makes me question, does, when Google realizes that a website has, or our website is listing properties, because of the nature of the business, you're going to have a lot more URLs created. So do they give more leniency on you having these ginormous sites? Or what have they done on this site to enable it to have so many URLs indexed? Okay, so are these different social profiles linking to the site? Is that what's occurring? Okay. Google said this had a link to the site, which it looks like it doesn't. Okay. Let's keep going further and seeing what Google has indexed. I'm not a robot, I promise. Just a lot of social media posts. And it makes sense because how real estate agents sell. So if I go to images, okay, a lot of these are from their own site. Got a lot of social profiles. That also might be what it is because they post on social media when they have a new listing. All of those new social posts are linking back to that new page. Then those social posts stay up. So Google will continuously recrawl, find those posts, find the URLs, and that will help keep those pages indexed. Because that makes a lot more sense to me when I think about this. What they're doing is every time they get a new listing or a new property they want to show off, they are creating this round of content that all links back to that URL. So if they had like 500 properties and then they have like six, well, you got LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. So they had six social profiles, and you could cross-platform post the same content. So they have six profiles, all with video content, and on each of those videos, they are all linking back to that new listing. That's actually genius. It's a really good idea. A large majority of the time, what happens is people will point all of the links to the homepage. When you do that, you're creating a really strong, like, tree trunk, right? Like a really strong base. But with how links work, with how building a site up in Google's terms works, or for SEO, is you're pointing all of this to the base, right? To the tree trunk, but the individual leaves or the branches of the tree aren't getting a lot of love from any external links. And a majority of the time, these little leaves, these little branches, are the pages that you want ranking for your money pages, right? Your money keywords. So a lot of times people will just keep pointing to the homepage, keep pointing to the homepage, and yes, from the homepage, the tree trunk, the base, you will get growth or you'll get rankings, however you want to think about this, to the branches, to the leaf nodes. But like what they're doing, this is a great example of what you should be doing, especially because it fits their business niche so well, is every time you get a new listing, every time you create a new page, right? Because for them, they have to create a new page to display the new listing. They then go and create all of the social media content. All of the social media content has a link to that brand new URL. Google finds all that social media content, and then now all of a sudden, you essentially have six backlinks from different referring domains as well. So that's actually, this is actually, this is really fascinating for me. And I'm wondering if they're able to syndicate or have other social profiles other than theirs also link and point back to their new listings or what have you, right? Let's say that they had different agents working underneath them. What they could do is have them post their own or the same piece of content as well on their social profiles, and then have even more links pointing back. So it's not in there. So Google says that this links to the site, but I can't find it. But either way, we'll keep going. Yeah, just a ton and a ton of social content. They've got to be doing well. This is awesome. This is great. So news. Let's see what they got going on. So what we're doing is we've searched the keyword realtor Miami, Florida. We're looking in search. We're seeing, okay, what is Google doing currently? Has Google changed the search results at all? What profiles are currently ranking and what websites are currently ranking? We're looking at those profiles, we're looking at those websites, and we're trying to get an idea of why they're ranking, what is something that we can take away from their site and like an understanding or something to test. And now we're at the point where I'm looking at the first website and I'm putting their domain in quotes to see what is Google giving me? What other pages have this string on it, right? Because that's what this command does is by placing it in quotes, Google's only going to give you URLs that have that string or that line of text on the page. So this press and media page, I'm wondering if they rotate this. Well, no, these are all been here since 2023. Huh. Okay. So I'm interested. Ooh. Okay. So they might actually have some URL bloat here. As I paginate, right, I go from this first testimonials page to this second testimonials page. You can see that there's a new URL being created here at the top. There's no need for this. You don't have to bloat the amount of URLs your site has by doing this. You can simply have it rotate from the different pages of testimonials. So just right here, let's see, they're creating 7 additional URLs that just, it's not needed. Which also might speak to why they have so many URLs indexed, is they may have some things going on to where there is a lot of bloat occurring. Now this isn't guaranteed, but this is definitely a sign that this might be occurring. Why? What is that? Why is it doing that? That's weird. What happens if I go like this? Does that work? Okay, that works. Okay. So this is, what is this? This is super interesting to me. What is pulling this in? I've never seen something like this before. I'm gonna have to look at this later. So this URL string is also super interesting to me. Why is this occurring? So if I get rid of all of this, what happens? So if I just go to /home search, it takes me to /listings. Then I'm redirected to home search /listings ? And then this really long URL parameter. Huh. So this must be like an online portal that is pulling all of this data in as a listing's active or taken offline. I would assume that they update this, but this is fascinating to see. Are all of these links, these are all pointing back to, huh. So this doesn't load unless I click it. What is going on? Copy address? What happens if I do this? Okay. I can't inspect it. What happens if I inspect this? What are they doing? Okay. Listings map. Is this just are they embedding a Google Maps here? Huh. So does this create a new URL? No, this is just an inside calculator. Okay, so I think I finally figured out why they have 7,900 URLs indexed. So what this looks like to me is this company down here at the bottom will work with a realtor. They then have their own CMS platform in which it keeps your top level domain, and then it has some kind of like pool from a database. Their CMS somehow integrates with this to where it is pooling all of these individual listings, but it's keeping you on the top level domain. It's also, it has like short codes or to keep your brand on page. This is fascinating. And so the content's not really on your site. It's on your site, but what it is this giant database that they're pulling all of this information from. Huh. And so that's why this website has over. Okay, so actually hold on. So let's get rid of this. Let's just do this. Let's go to Google. Let's do that. Let's. Yep, okay. 7,000 results. Holy, that's a lot. What happens if we get rid of that? Same. What happens if we get rid of this? Should go up higher. Okay. So let's do a site : command. Let's get rid of these quotes. Let's see here. So these are all of the URLs from this. Okay, so let's see. Are there more people doing this? Okay, so we have this. Does it look exactly the same? Okay, looks exactly the same. We scroll all the way down. We don't have the same. Okay, yeah, so This looks like it's just a giant network or a giant CMS that realtors use to pull all of this listing data and keep it on their top level domain. This is fascinating. Is this the same? So the bottom portion of this is styled different than the one I was looking at. Again, another one. It keeps giving me Canadian. Let me do. It's because I'm currently traveling and I'm currently in Canada. Okay, so I did Miami. Okay, so it's giving me Miami realtors. Huh. So I'm just gonna speed run through a couple of these. Yeah, these all look identical. These all look exactly the same. That is hilarious. Okay, they want me to sign in. I'm not gonna sign in. You can. Okay. Huh. That is so cool. These are literally all just the same sites. So does that... So if I were to do... If we were to look at this site, 12,000 indexed URLs. Holy... Holy crap. That is insane. So what it's looking like is this platform, this CMS, whatever is pulling all of this information and configuring it to where it goes based off of your top level domain. Each time I'm searching in Google, site colon, the top level domain, I'm getting like thousands. The first one was 7,000. This one's 12,000 URLs. That is so many URLs being created from this. What looks to me, what appears to me is the same CMS structure. Some other patterns I'm noticing is that these all don't have www, so it looks like it's pretty much structured exactly the same. Some of them require you to log in, which I don't understand. Okay, so if we go to the homepage, view source.
Home for me is a place that you just...
Okay, well that's super annoying. And we look at the canonical tag. Yep. So we've seen another pattern that this is the same network or the same CMS. This is super fascinating to me. I would have never expected to discover something like this occurring. Huh. Wow. And see, this is why I always say go into search, see what is currently occurring, what is currently ranking. It's going to give you more information than reading some blog or reading what someone else thinks it takes to rank. You're just going to get a ton more information by doing field research. A common thing I'm seeing across all of these is that the YouTube URL is broken. This one has they might not have a Google Business Profile. That's interesting. I wonder why. I wonder why they choose to do that. But this is super cool to me. Figuring out that this is like currently occurring in search. You have this giant. It looks like just like a CMS or something. something's occurring where they just have a ginormous back end to where they are able to pull all of those listings data in those little templated cards. Fascinating. So this is also interesting. So this is taking me to the individual properties. This is like another form of viewing the listings. When I click this, then it actually loads the Google Biz or the Google Maps. Wow. This is fascinating to me. Okay. Well, we only looked at the first Google Business Profile, the first website, and we're already at 55 minutes. But if I had to guess, if we were to look at all of these other listings, they're all probably doing the exact same thing because just looking at that, whatever system that they have in place to achieve that is incredible. Okay, so let's go look at this site. So it looks a little different. I can't click anything. Oh, I had to accept cookies. Okay. Search listings. What happens? Okay, so I'm taken to a different. So it's managed by, or it's listed by the same company. Let's see. So the styling's a little different, but we've got a lot of the same information here. Huh. How much content's on page? 1,600. Well, I guess we were only looking at the profiles. What happens if I go to the search results? MiamiRealtors.com, realestate.usnews.com. So what's going on in this website? This looks like it's a directory. Their Twitter icon's broken. Let's see, does their YouTube link work? Because all the other ones didn't. Yeah, it works. Nice. Huh. MLS. Huh. This is interesting. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. That was an hour of seeing what was currently occurring in Google search.